By the seventh day of Ramadan, a Muslim has adapted to the atmosphere of fasting and worship, but he must maintain his enthusiasm and activity in worship and not allow routine to diminish his determination. Every day in Ramadan is a new opportunity to double the rewards and get closer to Allah Almighty. On this day, there are many good deeds that are recommended to be done to make the most of the blessings of this blessed month. 1. Renewing the intention and sincerity in work. First of all, a Muslim must be keen to renew the intention in fasting and worship, and make it purely for the sake of Allah. The Prophet said, "Actions are only by intentions, and each person will have but what he intended, agreed upon." Sincerity is the basis of acceptance, which is what makes deeds multiplied in the sight of Allah. 2. Maintaining the Fajr prayer on time. Fajr prayer is one of the greatest and best prayers, and it is a successful start to a day full of blessings. The Prophet said, 2 rak'ahs of Fajr are better than the world and everything in it, narrated by Muslim. After Fajr, it is recommended to sit to remember Allah and read the Quran until sunrise, then pray 2 rak'ahs of duha, as it brings great reward. 3. Reciting the Holy Quran and contemplating its meanings. Ramadan is the month of the Quran, and it is necessary to continue reading it with contemplation and humility. Allah Almighty said, "The month of Ramadan in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs of guidance and criterion." Al-Baqarah, 185. A Muslim can set a daily goal for himself to complete the Quran once or more during the month. 4. Increase remembrance and seeking forgiveness. Remembrance of Allah is one of the great acts of worship that increases good deeds and reassures the heart. Allah Almighty said, "Unquestionably, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." Al-Ra'd, 28. Among the recommended supplications are a glory be to Allah and His praise, glory be to Allah the Almighty, there is no God but Allah alone, He has no partner, His is the kingdom and His is the praise, and He is over all things omnipotent. O Allah, You are the pardoner and You love to pardon, so pardon me. Seeking forgiveness is very important, as the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Blessed is he who finds in his record much seeking of forgiveness," narrated by Ibn Majah. 5. Charity and breaking the fast of those who are fasting. Charity is one of the greatest deeds that multiplies the reward in Ramadan. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "The best charity is charity in Ramadan," narrated by Al-Tirmidhi. Also, breaking the fast of those who are fasting has a great reward, as the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Whoever breaks the fast of a fasting person will have a reward like his, without that detracting from the reward of the fasting person in the slightest," narrated by Al-Tirmidhi. 6. Striving in supplication. Supplication is a great act of worship, and it is recommended to be persistent in it, especially before breaking the fast, as supplications are answered at this time. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "A fasting person has a supplication when he breaks his fast that will not be rejected," narrated by Ibn Majah. A Muslim can supplicate for himself, his family, and all Muslims. 7. Performing the duha prayer. The duha prayer is one of the recommended sunnahs, and it is equal in reward to charity for all the joints of the body. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Every joint of a person should give charity every morning, and 2 rak'ahs that he prays in the forenoon are sufficient for that," narrated by Muslim. 8. Taraweeh prayer and Qiyam al-Layl. Qiyam al-Layl is one of the best acts of worship that bring a person closer to Allah, and Taraweeh prayer is one of the confirmed sunnahs in Ramadan. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Whoever prays during Ramadan out of faith and in the hope of reward, his previous sins will be forgiven," narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. It is recommended for a Muslim to pray the entire Taraweeh prayer with the Imam so that he will receive the reward of praying a full night. 9. Maintaining ties of kinship and communicating with family. Maintaining ties of kinship is one of the deeds that increase one's lifespan and bless one's livelihood. The Prophet, PBUH, said, "Whoever wants his provision to be expanded and his life to be extended, let him maintain the ties of kinship." Bukhari. During Ramadan, it is recommended to visit or contact relatives and strengthen family ties. 10. Itikaf, even for a short period if possible, spending time in the mosque to worship, meditate and draw closer to Allah, even for a short period, is one of the recommended deeds in Ramadan, especially in the last 10 days. Conclusion: the seventh day of Ramadan is a great opportunity to continue striving in acts of obedience and not to be slack. Through prayer, remembrance, recitation of the Quran, charity, and maintaining ties of kinship, a Muslim can invest this blessed day in ways that will bring him reward and recompense. Let us all strive to exploit every moment in Ramadan in a way that pleases Allah, and we ask Him for acceptance and forgiveness.